So talking about linear functions and a linear review today, first, when you're graphing lines, you should have an in-slope-intercept form, so that's y equals mx plus b. Your y-intercept is your b value, so you would go to 3 on the y-axis and plot that. So for example, if I had y equals 2x plus 3, on my graph, this is going to be my y-intercept. So then I would go to 3 on my y-axis, and that is 1 point. And then my slope here is technically 2 over 1, so I can go up 2 units and over 1. Always try to get 2 more points using the slope, so you can go up 2 more and then over 1. But remember, if you go down 2, you'd go to the left 1. So this would be my line for that equation. So slope, we use m for slope, and that's rise over run, which is the same thing if we take our y values and subtract them, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 there. Okay, so when looking at graphs for slope, if you see a graph that's like this, okay, your y values are increasing as you are going up. This means you have a positive slope. And a slope that hasn't, or a graph that has a negative slope, as you go across the graph, your y values would be decreasing. So this is a negative slope. And then we have 2 more. So if I have another graph that has a horizontal line, so this is my horizontal line right here. Okay, so this is going to be 0, a slope of 0. And you would have a horizontal line when you have y equals a certain number. And then the last graph, if we have a vertical line, this is going to be undefined slope, and this is when x is equal to a number. So there are your 4 different scenarios for slope. So positive, negative, 0, and undefined. Okay, so the first example says find the slope of the line containing the points 2, 4, and f3 equals negative 1. So remember this notation of f of 3 equals negative 1. This is going to be my x value. This is my y value. So technically I have a point at 3, negative 1. So first I would, to find the slope, remember your slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to go ahead and label my points. So x1, y1, x2, y2. And that just helps me with what point I need to start with. You can start with any point. You'll get the same answer. So negative 1 minus negative 4. Don't forget you are subtracting a negative there, so you need the double negative. All over 3 minus 2. Okay, and then we're going to have, so negative 1 minus negative 4, that is going to be negative 1 plus 4, all over 1, or 3 over 1, which is a slope of 3. So a quick review on parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. So you know that 2 lines are going to be parallel if they have the same exact number for slope. And then perpendicular lines, they are going to be the opposite reciprocal. So, for example, if I had a slope of, if I had a slope of 2/3, the opposite reciprocal, not only would your fraction flip, but it would change sign. So since 2/3 is positive, it's going to become negative, and then 3/2. And the same thing happens if you have a whole number. So if I have a slope of -4, remember you can write any whole number over the number 1. So this will become 1/4. That's already negative, so my new slope's going to be positive. So when we move on to writing equations, we have two different forms we can write equations in. We have slope-intercept form, and that looks like y equals mx plus b. M is our slope. Remember, it is m, not mx. So when I ask you to identify slope of y equals 2x plus 3, just like I did at the top, my slope is 2. Okay, do not include the x value when talking about slope. And then b is your y-intercept. We also have point slope form, so we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. M is your slope here. And then y1 and x1 are a point. They are a point on the line. Okay, and you can get slope-intercept form from point slope form by simplifying and solving for y. Okay, so this example, it says write the equation of the line passing through the point f of 2 equals 3 and perpendicular to 4x plus 3y equals 15 in slope-intercept form and point slope form. Okay, so first, we have to find the slope of our original line. So our original line is this 4x plus 3y, so we need to go ahead and solve for y. So 4x plus 3y equals 15. Let me solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 4x over 3y equal to negative 4x plus 15. Divide by 3 to every term. So y equals negative 4/3 x plus 5. Okay, so my slope here is negative 4/3. Since I'm looking for the perpendicular line, my perpendicular slope will be the opposite reciprocal, which is going to be 3/4. And then they told me I have a point at 2, 3. Remember, this is your x value, this is your y value. So going through and writing it into the two different forms, we have slope-intercept form. So I'm going to start there. This is y equals mx plus b. Okay, here I need to solve for my y-intercept. I don't know what it is. So all I know right now is my new slope, y equals 3/4 x plus b. And I also know that I have a point at 2, 3. Okay, so I have a point at, my perpendicular slope is 3/4, and I have a point at 2, 3. So I'm going to use that point to plug into my equation to solve for my b value. Okay, so this is my x and my y. So that means 3 equals 3/4 times 2 plus b. So I plug in my 3 for y because that's my y value, 2 for x because that's my x value. So when I go ahead and solve, I get 3 equals 3 halves plus b. Subtract 3 halves over, and 3 halves equals b. So then my equation will be y equals 3/4 x plus 3 over 2. That is my final equation. So that's using slope-intercept form. You can always use point-slope form as well. So this is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so again, here's my x1 and y1. So I can go ahead and plug in what I know. So y minus y1 is 3. My slope is 3/4, and x1 is 2. Okay, so technically, this is the equation in point-slope form. If you wanted to, you can always go ahead and simplify, and you'll receive the slope-intercept form. So here, if I go to simplify, y minus 3 is equal to 3/4 x minus 3 halves, add 3, y is equal to 3/4 x plus 3 over 2. Which is the same that we received over when talking about slope-intercept form.